It's the Side Quest Podcast.
Usually when you think about like interacting with the government online, there's this heavy expectation of just profound boredom.
Oh, yeah, completely. It's the digital equivalent of sitting in the waiting room at the DMV.
Right. You type in a .gov address and you just expect to be greeted by this wall of dense text or, maybe a PDF form that looks like it hasn't been updated since like 1998.
Yeah, very dry, very bureaucratic explanation of municipal codes or something.
Exactly. We've been completely conditioned to expect our civic digital spaces to be aggressively plain.
Functional, sure, but, the architecture is strictly designed for compliance and legal clarity, not excitement or engagement.
But what if you navigated to an official government policy page, and instead of that 1998 PDF, you were suddenly dropped into what feels incredibly like a viral marketing campaign for, like, a summer blockbuster?
Yeah, that's a massive shift.
We're talking neon text, top secret stamps, classic UFO conspiracy theories. Suddenly, you aren't at the DMV anymore. You're in the lobby of a movie theater, holding a ticket for a sci-fi thriller.
It just creates this massive cognitive whiplash for the user. And that whiplash fundamentally alters how a citizen interacts with the information they're about to receive.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have a fascinating piece of digital architecture to explore with you today. Our source material for this deep dive is a highly stylized, very specific web page that was published on the official White House website in the year 2026 during the Trump and Vance administration.
Right, and it is wild to look at.
It really is. And I want to be crystal clear right out of the gate here for you listening. We're looking at a document that contains highly charged political content. Our mission today is not to debate or endorse any of the viewpoints, policies, or rhetoric presented here.
Absolutely not.
We aren't here to take political sides, left or right. We are strictly looking at this impartially as a remarkable artifact of modern communication strategy. We just want to understand the design choices and the underlying mechanics of how this specific web page operates.
Right, because by analyzing mechanics, we can learn a ton about how digital architecture influences perception. We're treating this page the exact same way an engineer would look at the blueprint of a highly unconventional building.
So let's walk into the building. You land on this official White House page, and the very first thing that hits your screen is this massive, dramatic banner screaming the word declassified.
In all caps, yeah.
Right. And right underneath that, in this bold, ominous text, it reads, "They walk among us."
What's fascinating here is how the aesthetic immediately bypasses the logical, civic part of the brain and targets the entertainment center. I mean, the text on the page claims, for 60 years, the U.S. government has kept a closely guarded secret. Yeah. And they even built in this scrolling animation that abruptly gets cut off with a graphic of a top secret stamp. It's meticulously designed to mimic the aesthetics of, Area 51, the X-Files, all that deep-seated internet lore surrounding hidden extraterrestrials.
Wait, I'm stuck on one thing here, though. If you're rolling out a major, aggressive executive policy, why dress it up in an X-Files costume?
Well, that's the real question, isn't it?
Yeah. Doesn't throwing a literal top-secret UFO graphic on an official communication risk making the whole thing look like a joke? I mean, to me, it feels like an alternate reality game. Those fake websites they launch before a video game comes out.
It totally does. And it is a calculated risk. But in the modern digital landscape, the biggest threat to any policy initiative isn't being taken as a joke.
No.
No, it's being ignored. Think about it. If an administration posts a standard white paper on border policy, they capture a highly localized audience, mostly journalists, policy analysts, deeply engaged political operatives.
Right. The people who read white papers for fun.
Exactly. The average citizen just scrolls right past it. But by wrapping a government portal in the skin of a sci-fi conspiracy, they are deliberately hacking the brain's curiosity gap.
The curiosity gap. That's the itch you just have to scratch, right?
Exactly that. In cognitive psychology, when you present someone with a piece of missing information, especially if it's framed as forbidden or secret, it creates a feeling of deprivation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. You see, they walk among us on an official .gov domain, and the friction between the seriousness of the website and the absurdity of the claim just forces you to interact. You literally have to scroll down to relieve the tension and find out what the punchline is.
So they turn a dry policy announcement into an unavoidable, clickable event,
Exactly.
which makes the ensuing drop all the more intense. Because once you scroll past that top secret stamp, you hit a section labeled Classified Addendum Declassified 2026, and the playful sci-fi facade completely shatters.
It drops instantly.
Yeah, the text reads, "They weren't little green men."
The narrative pivot right there is razor sharp.
It really is. It states that these aliens are the, quote, millions of illegals who invaded our country under the cover of darkness. And then the page declares that the cover-up is over, that the president told the truth, and then it drops a very hardline directive. Secure the border, deport them all.
Yeah, the rhetorical whiplash is pretty dizzying.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
You go from, like, Chuck E. Cheese UFO games to an aggressive, unyielding domestic enforcement policy in the span of a single mouse scroll.
Well, that pivot relies on a really fascinating, if intense, use of linguistic duality.
What do you mean by that?
The designers are taking the English word alien and basically weaponizing its double meaning. Think about the history of that word. Alien is this sterile, old-world legal term for a non-citizen. It's embedded deep within the U.S. code.
Right, but nobody uses it like that in everyday conversation anymore.
Yeah.
If you say alien at a dinner party, people think of spaceships.
Precisely. And that's exactly the friction they're exploiting. They took a dry legal definition, dressed it up in the neon lights of its pop culture definition, and used that contrast to create a semantic bait and switch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they lure the user in with the promise of extraterrestrials and then forcefully substitute the legal definition to deliver a political payload.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because they don't just rely on the text to deliver the payload. Right below this dramatic reveal, the page introduces a live data feed.
Right, the map.
Yes, it's titled the Alien Arrest Map, and it features a counter showing exact down-to-the-digit encounters. In the specific source material we are examining today, the counter is sitting at exactly 3,129,580.
A very specific number.
Highly specific. And the supporting language says, if you've witnessed an alien abduction, do not be alarmed. The alien is in good hands. We will take care of it. We will take care of it and return it safely to its place of origin.
And nested right below that assurance is a direct link to an ICC tip line to report suspicious aliens.
I really want to spend a second on that counter, because presenting human encounters on a live, ticking map, like a digital scoreboard, I mean, that fundamentally changes how a user processes the information, right?
Oh, completely.
It doesn't feel like a policy dashboard. It feels like I'm looking at a high score in an arcade.
It is the purest distillation of gamification. When you take complex logistical realities, border encounters, legal processing, transport logistics, and you reduce them to a rapidly ticking digital counter, you are abstracting reality into a pure metric.
Like a video game.
Exactly. Think about the psychology of mobile games. The constant upward tick of a score triggers the dopamine loop. It creates a synthetic sense of urgency and scale.
It trains the user to view a complex geopolitical situation through the lens of a sports ticker. A million isn't a demographic statistic anymore. It's just a number to beat, or like a threat level to monitor.
It abstracts the data points completely. And by placing the report to IC tip line right next to that ticking scoreboard, the architecture is inviting the user to step out of the audience and onto the field.
You aren't just reading about policy anymore.
No, you're being presented with a play button. You're being asked to contribute to the score.
But if we zoom out from the scoreboard for a second, things get even more surreal.
Yeah, they do.
Because this highly gamified sci-fi border enforcement page is not floating out in the ether. It is firmly nested inside the broader, massive architecture of the White House website. And I was looking through the navigation menus provided in the source material, and it's wild.
The surrounding ecosystem provides incredible context for how digital strategies have evolved.
It is staggering. Picture this. You have this neon ticking alien arrest map and an ICE tip line promising to return aliens to their place of origin. But if you click the standard hamburger menu button right at the top of the screen, you are presented with links for the White House Easter egg roll.
Right.
Or the summer reading challenge, or a friendly invitation to apply for an internship.
The juxtaposition between those two environments is profound.
It's like walking through a terrifying haunted house attraction. And right in the middle of the fake blood and jump scares, there's a person cheerfully handing out cotton candy and asking if you want to join a book club. How does a single digital ecosystem support both of those realities without totally breaking the user's immersion?
Well, it succeeds because of a concept called segmented marketing.
Okay, break that down for us.
In previous eras, an administration had to rely on a broadcast voice. When a president spoke from the Oval Office or released a physical document, they had to speak to the entire nation at once. The message had to be somewhat homogenized to avoid alienating different factions.
Right, the traditional "my fellow Americans" speech.
Exactly. But modern digital architecture allows for a completely compartmentalized voice.
Meaning they don't have to build one message for everybody. They can build 10 different messages for 10 different audiences and house them under the exact same roof.
You nailed it. The digital architecture allows for distinct rooms within the same house. If you analyze the other initiatives listed in the site's navigation, you can really map the administration's broader strategy.
Yeah, I saw that.
You have DOGE, which is their Reform Government Initiative. You have MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. There are sections dedicated to AI.gov, crypto policy, the Freedom 250 Initiative, and working families tax cuts.
That is a remarkably wide umbrella of topics.
It reflects a very deliberate effort to capture very distinct voting blocks. The person who visits the site to read about the new crypto regulations might never even see the aliens page. The family looking up the schedule for the Easter egg roll just wants the traditional institutional face of the executive office.
They want the majestic, historical leader of the free world.
Right. But for the hardline political base, the aliens page is ready and waiting, serving up highly concentrated, incredibly provocative rhetoric. The administration no longer has to dilute the message to serve both groups. Segmented architecture means the user's journey is curated.
So they never overlap if they don't want them to.
Exactly. The website funnels you into the reality that resonates most with your specific algorithmic profile.
So what does this all mean? If the entire purpose of this page is to funnel a specific user into a specific room to see a specific message, what happens once they are in the room? What is the actual goal of getting a user to look at the ticking alien arrest map? Because after looking at the bottom of the page, it's clearly not just to inform them about a policy.
Informing the user is entirely secondary. Structurally, the entire aliens page functions as a conversion funnel.
A conversion funnel, like in e-commerce.
Just like e-commerce.
Yeah.
The sci-fi hook, the dramatic reveal, the ticking scoreboard, those are just mechanisms to capture attention. But in the digital space, attention is a depreciating asset if you don't harvest it. The ultimate goal is always conversion. They want to turn a passive reader into a subscribed asset.
Right at the bottom of the page, past all the intense rhetoric, the source material shows a prominent promotional dialogue box. It screams, "Welcome to the Golden Age. Sign up for news and updates from the Trump White House." And it pushes you to join immediately, specifically asking for your cell phone number to receive local text alerts.
Data collection. It remains the absolute lifeblood of modern political infrastructure.
But this is where I found the most unusual detail in the entire source document. Think about the messaging we just walked through. This page is fundamentally about domestic border security. It is aggressively America first. The entire narrative revolves around keeping non-citizens out of the country.
Yes.
But when you click the box to sign up for these text alerts, there is a drop-down menu for your country code. And it is not just the U.S. and Canada.
No, it is remarkably comprehensive.
The source material lists it out alphabetically. You can sign up for Trump White House local alerts using a country code from Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, all the way down the alphabet to Zimbabwe. I was staring at the list trying to make sense of it. You can sign up with a phone number from the Elandimers. You can sign up from the Vatican. The Holy See is literally an option. North Korea is on the list.
That is wild.
Why on earth does a web page dedicated to enforcing the geographic borders of the United States want to send text alerts to a cell phone plan in North Korea?
It exposes a fascinating philosophical contradiction at the heart of modern political engagement. While the rhetoric of the page is entirely focused on physical borders, exclusion, and domestic isolationism, the digital infrastructure powering that message is inherently aggressively borderless.
Because the software doesn't care about passports. Data is just data.
Exactly. In the realm of digital campaigning, data is a completely agnostic commodity. A phone number is simply a node in a network. Whether that node is located in Ohio, Oslo, or the Vatican, it represents reach.
Right.
Now, from a purely practical standpoint, the inclusion of every global country code is almost certainly a byproduct of using standardized, off-the-shelf customer relationship management software.
So they likely just plugged a standard subscriber widget into the page architecture, and that widget automatically populated every country on Earth by default.
Most likely. It's just a default setting they didn't bother to change. But philosophically, it speaks volumes about how these movements operate. The mechanism of digital engagement prioritizes maximum possible data collection over any kind of geographic logic.
They don't care where you are.
No, they want the email and they want the phone number because once you are securely stored in that database, you can be mobilized. You can be messaged with new initiatives. You can be asked for donations.
You become inventory.
You become an asset. The political message might be fiercely local, but the digital machinery harvesting the audience is global.
Which really brings this whole analysis into focus. We started off by comparing this government portal to a Hollywood blockbuster marketing campaign. And when you look at the sequence of mechanics at play, the sci-fi curiosity gap to grab your attention, the semantic bait and switch to deliver the payload, the gamified scoreboard to keep you engaged, and finally the global data harvesting tool at the end to turn you into a subscriber. It functions exactly like an entertainment product designed for mass consumption.
The administration is pulling the exact same psychological levers that a streaming service or a mobile game developer uses.
So let's do a quick recap for you, the listener, because we have covered a tremendous amount of ground today. We analyzed a specific White House webpage from 2026 that hijacked the visual language of a UFO conspiracy to pull users out of their normal civic apathy.
Right.
We explored how it pivoted that curiosity into a hardline political message about immigration by weaponizing the legal and cultural definitions of the word alien. We dissected the surreal cognitive dissonance of placing that intense rhetoric right next to the White House Easter egg roll, revealing the power of segmented digital marketing. And finally, we unpacked the deep irony of a domestic border policy page using agnostic global data harvesting tools to build its subscriber base.
And it is worth reiterating here at the end, just as we established at the beginning, the goal of examining this document was never to evaluate the political validity of the 2026 administration's border policies.
Right.
Our purpose was purely to analyze the architecture of the communication itself.
Because understanding how a message is constructed, what psychological buttons it's trying to push, is just as critical as knowing what the message says. It strips away the illusion and makes you a much sharper consumer of information. Speaking of which, I know you always have one last conceptual thread for us to pull on before we wrap up.
I do. And I want you to carry this thought with you the next time you are navigating the digital world. We have spent this deep dive looking at how a web page uses the tactics of viral marketing, alternate reality gamification, and pop culture subversion to communicate serious, real-world government policy.
Yeah.
As our institutions increasingly adopt the toolkits of marketers, game designers, and entertainers, does the line between being a citizen and being a consumer disappear entirely?
Oh, wow. That is a heavy thought.
If our civic duty is being gamified, if the reality of policy is reduced to ticking scoreboards, neon clickbait, and dopamine loops, how does that alter the way we interact with the flesh and blood consequences of those policies in our everyday lives? When the medium becomes a game, do we forget that the stakes are real?
That is a phenomenal question to leave off on. If the DMV starts acting like a movie theater, we really have to ask ourselves what kind of movie we are buying tickets for. Thanks for going on this deep dive with us today. We will see you next time.